This episode covers July 23rd through July 25th, 2024. Days 104 through 106 of My Grand Detour. Over these 3 days, I explored the legendary roads and landmarks around Sturgis, South Dakota, the site of the world's largest motorcycle rally. The rally itself is not for a couple more weeks. I didn't stay for the rally, but I did take many of the rides in this area that the rally is known for. Devil's Tower, Spearfish Canyon, the Needles Highway, Iron Mountain Road, Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse, and the otherworldly landscapes of Badlands National Park. Welcome, or welcome back, to My Grand Detour. On April 11th, 2024, I set out on what became a 112-day, 18,000-mile motorcycle ride across the US and Canada. I've posted more than 50 videos of this trip so far, and after this one, there's only one more to go. I love sharing my trip, and if you enjoy these stories, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps others discover the channel, and it motivates me to keep sharing, even when I mess up a camera angle or two, which, as you'll soon see, I did plenty of in this video. Day 104, Devil's Tower and Spearfish Canyon. Today's meandering took me 219 miles, from Spearfish, South Dakota to Devil's Tower, Wyoming, and then back through Deadwood and down to Custer. Ever since seeing Close Encounters of the Third Kind as a kid, I've wanted to visit Devil's Tower. And yes, I admit, I also wanted to make a model of it out of mashed potatoes. There's a childlike wonder that comes with seeing something that iconic for the first time. I kept wondering, will it be as cool as I thought? Is it really that big? Around which turn will I first see it? And when I finally did, it rose out of the landscape and exceeded my expectations. It is so much bigger than anything around it. Nature has a way of making even our best special effects seem quaint. I rode into the park and over to the base, and I walked around for a bit, stopping at the visitor center to get my national park passport stamped and pick up some souvenirs. And as I turned back east, I headed towards Spearfish Canyon, one of the most beloved rides in South Dakota. The problem is, you'll have to take my word for it. The camera in front of my windshield had tilted upward, and I didn't notice until 2 hours later. So instead of sweeping canyon views and twisty roads, I got a lot of treetops. Beautiful treetops, mind you, but treetops nonetheless. I managed to salvage a few shots, the canyon walls, Bridal Veil Falls, enough to remember how gorgeous it was. But yeah, I blew it. Sometimes I'm just a knucklehead. From there, I passed through the town of Deadwood, where every corner seems to echo Wild West legends, and then hit long stretches of road construction on 385 South. The kind of construction where you have to wait for a pilot car and then ride miles of gravel, wondering if you missed a turn and somehow ended up on Mars. By evening, I rolled into Custer, ready for a hot meal and a cold drink. At dinner, across the street from my hotel, I met Dana and Harriet, a couple from New Hampshire on their own cross-country trip. They were staying at the same hotel, along with a few other riders, and we all swapped stories before turning in for the night. A small world moment that would come full circle about a week later in my next video. Day 105. The Black Hills Classic Rides. It's Wednesday, July 24th, and I'm still based in Custer, South Dakota. So today's ride is a loop of the Black Hills Classics: the Needles Highway, Iron Mountain Road, Mount Rushmore, and the Crazy Horse Memorial. These are some serious bucket list roads for motorcyclists, especially during the Sturgis rally season. The Needles Highway winds through granite spires and narrow tunnels, like a really fun roller coaster. If you've ever ridden Smuggler's Notch in Vermont, imagine that, but 20 times longer and much twistier, with hairpins, switchbacks, and bison wandering across the road like they own the place. Well, because they kinda do. After a stop at the Custer State Park Visitor Center, I looped north on Iron Mountain Road, famous for its wooden pigtail bridges and tunnels that perfectly frame Mount Rushmore as you ride through. It's one of those, how did they even build this rides? Part engineering marvel, part national monument, and 2 parts pure amazement. Unfortunately, my camera mess up from yesterday carried over into today a little bit. So again, I don't have a ton of usable footage. I'll admit, I was so immersed in the ride, I didn't even notice the lens was still pointed at the sky. Lesson learned. Check the video at the end of the day. I've also since upgraded to 2 cameras and have remote displays so I can actually see what I'm filming while I ride. Future me is very grateful. Mount Rushmore itself is exactly what you'd expect. Impressive, but crowded. The most touristy of the national parks I visited, packed with people from everywhere, all angling for the same photo. I'm glad I saw it once, but I don't need to go back. Same goes for the Crazy Horse Memorial. Massive, ambitious, and still under construction after decades. The story behind it is moving, though. A reminder that these hills hold many layers of American history and identity. So even with the camera fails, the rides themselves are unforgettable. I went to bed that night thinking about how places like this, these curving roads and granite spires, are part of the shared mythology of American motorcycling. It's Thursday, July 25th, day 106, and today's meandering took me 338 miles, from Custer through the Badlands National Park and the Minutemen Missile National Historic Site, ending in Mitchell, South Dakota. I left before sunrise to beat the heat. It was forecast to hit 107 degrees. That's hotter than it was when I rode through Death Valley. I do love riding early mornings, though. Quiet roads, the smell of dew, the low light crawling across the Black Hills. It's peaceful. You feel like you have the whole world to yourself. I passed through Hill City, Rapid City, and onto Wall, South Dakota, home of the infamous Wall Drug. And from there, I turned south onto the Badlands Loop Road. The first overlook stopped me cold. The landscape looked like it had been clawed from another planet. Sharp ridges, striped layers of rocks, deep shadows, and signs warning of rattlesnakes. The name Badlands made sense. It was harsh, hot, and absolutely beautiful. I made a quick stop at the visitor center to pick up some stickers and get my passport stamped, and then continued on to the Minuteman Missile National Historic Site, a relic of the Cold War. Inside, the exhibits tell the story of how the U.S. maintained a network of missile silos ready to launch at a moment's notice. But one story in particular hit me hard. The story of Stanislav Petrov. On September 26, 1983, Petrov was the Soviet duty officer when his radar system reported that 5 U.S. missiles had been launched towards the USSR. He only had minutes to decide whether to report it as a real attack, which would have triggered a nuclear retaliation, which would have led to our nuclear retaliation. But he reasoned that the US would not start a world war with only 5 missiles. So he marked it down as a false alarm. And he was right. A satellite had misread the sunlight reflecting off the clouds. That single act of calm skepticism may have saved the world. Standing there, in a site built for destruction, I couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and gratitude for the fragile sanity that's kept humanity from ending itself, and for people like Petrov, who chose reason over reaction. From there, I got back on Interstate 90 for a long, flat ride to Mitchell, where I rewarded myself with dinner and a badly needed haircut. After days of mountain curves and alien landscapes, the open prairie felt like a reset. The mindless hum of the engine, the straight horizon, the space. These 3 days felt like a crash course in American motorcycling culture. The icons, the roads, and the shared rituals that draw riders here year after year after year. I didn't plan this leg to coincide with the Sturgis rally. I kinda wanted to avoid it, but you can feel the energy everywhere. In the small towns, the gas stations, the friendly waves. It's a place where 2 wheels are as much a language as they are a machine. And for all my camera misfires and tilted horizons, maybe that's fitting. Sometimes it's good to just remember the ride itself, not the video. It's what matters most. Thinking about Petrov, there's a line from Robert Pirsig that feels right here. The place to improve the world is first in one's own heart and head and hands, and then work outward from there. Riding through places that symbolize both human creativity and strength and frailty, from Mount Rushmore to an abandoned missile silo. The quote rings true. It's all about what we choose to build and how we choose to see the world. From here, I'll continue east, towards Minnesota, reconnecting with old friends and colleagues and crossing back into the Great Lakes region. And remember that couple I met in Custer, Dana and Harriet? Well, I'll run into them again, thousands of miles later, at a gas station just northwest of Sault Ste. Marie. Small world. Thanks for watching. Until the next ride, be safe, be curious, and keep meandering.